Is it he? Quoth Amadis. Now God be thanked, for dearly I do love that knight. But now do not so much pity you as before, since you have suffered for the sake of one of the best men in the world. When it was day, a knight looked from the window and asked Amadis, Art thou he who hast slain my jailer and my servants? Art thou he, answered Amadis, who so treacherously murders knights and imprisoned dames and damsels? Thou art the most disloyal and cruelest knight in the world. As yet you know not all my cruelty, Archelaus replied, and left the window, and soon they saw him enter the court well armed, upon a lusty courser. Now this was one of the largest knights in the world who were not giants, and Amadis looked at him with admiration, thinking that he must needs be of great strength. Why lookest at me so earnestly? Quoth the Castilian. Because thou wouldst be so good a knight were it not for thy foul disloyalty. I come in good time, quoth Archelaus, to be preached by one like thee. And with that he laid lance in rest and ran the charge. The spears brake, horses and bodies met, and both horses were driven to the ground. Quickly the knights arose and began a fierce combat which lasted long. At length the Castilian drew back. The knight, he said, Thou art in the chance of death, and I know not that who thou art. Tell me that I may know, for I think I'd rather to slay than take thee. My death, Amadis replied, is in the will of God, whom I fear, and thine is in the will of the devil, who is weary of helping thee, and will now let thy soul and body perish together. You ask my name. I am Amadis of Gaul, the knight of Queen Brisenda. Then renewed they their combat with fresh fury till about an hour of tierce. Then Archelaus waxed faint, and Amadis smote him down, and, as he arose, staggered him with another blow on the helmet, so that seeing himself near to die, he fled into the palace, and Amadis followed. But he, running into the little chamber, at the door whereof stood a lady beholding the battle, took up a sword, for he had dropped his own in the court, and called to Amadis, Come in and finish the fight. This hall is larger, answered Amadis. Let it be here. I will not come out, quoth the Castilian. What, quoth he of Gaul, thinkest thou to save thyself? And placing his shield before him, he entered the chamber, his sword being raised to strike. Immediately the strength of all his limbs was gone, and he lost his senses, and fell to the ground like a dead man. Thou shalt die by no other death than this, said Archelaus. What do you say, my lady? Have I well avenged myself? And with that he disarmed Amadis, who knew nothing of what was doing, and put on the armour himself, and said to his lady, As you regard yourself, let none remove this knight till his soul hath forsaken his body. Then he descended into court, and said to her whom Amadis had delivered, Seek for some other order to release you, for this champion is dispatched. And when Gandalin heard these words, he fell down senseless. Archelaus took the lady and led her to where Amadis lay in the deadly trance, and she, seeing him in such a plight, wanted no tears to express the abundance of her grief. As soon as he is dead, said Archelaus to that other lady who was his wife, place this woman again in her prison. I will go to the court of King Lusart, and there relate how I performed this battle upon condition that he who conquered should cut off his enemy's head, and within 15 days publish his victory at that court. By these means none shall challenge me about his death, and I shall obtain the great glory in the world, having overcome him who conquered everyone. Then he went into the court, and ordered Gandalin and the dwarf to prison. But Gandalin reviled him with the name of traitor and villain, and provoked him to kill him, desiring death. Archelaus made his men drag him by the leg to a prison. If I killed thee, said he, thou wouldst endure no further pain, and thou would have had worse than death. He then mounted upon the horse of Amadis, and, accompanied by 3 squires, set forth for the court.